All right, for those of you who are new or newer to Zoom, okay, oh, good, there's somebody else. You can view the class either in what's called gallery view, so you see everybody who's in the class at the same time on your screen, or you can view the class in speaker view, and then you see whoever is speaking. Right now you would see me, and then if other people start speaking, you would see them. I will be watching in gallery view so that I get to see all of you at once. I like that the best, absolutely. I think I'm able that way to see if people want to speak and just get to know you a little better in your spaces. My name is Robin Caton. We have another Robin in the class. So hi, it's so nice to have you. Are you still in Hawaii? Yes, okay, great. We're going to find out globally where we all are in a little while when we introduce ourselves. But for now, I'm Robin Caton. I'm a senior instructor here at Dharma College, which basically means two things. I'm senior because I'm old, and I'm senior because I've been here for a long time. I was the first director of Dharma College. We opened our doors in October of 2012, and there are a few people here, George, Li Ching, and eventually we'll have another woman, Diana Lindquist, who were in my very first class at Dharma College 10 years ago and are back here to join us now. So that's really heartwarming and wonderful to see old friends as well as new. Dharma College is situated in Berkeley, California, just to give you the geography here. And I live about 15 miles east of Berkeley, through the Berkeley Hills in Lafayette, California. So that's where I am as we conduct this class. I'm going to ask you to say a few words about yourself, but I think that I will do that more toward the end of class rather than the usual way at the beginning. Give ourselves a chance to get settled, hear about what we're going to be doing, and do a little of our practice together, our little talking together, and then make our introductions. If anybody absolutely has to leave exactly at 11, you could put that in the chat or let me know somehow, and you can be one of the first to be introduced, or we can introduce you next week. Either way. If you don't want to be introduced, that's okay too. Those of you who have your screens off, I want to encourage you to turn your video on so that we can see you, if that's okay with you and if that's possible. I don't care how messy your space is. So I also don't care if you're doing other things at the same time, because I think you'll stop and you'll just focus on practice as we go along here. But it's nice to see your face. I always think of Zoom as a little bit like being able to see these Vermeer portraits, of people in their spaces. It's sort of our way of making art in the world today. And I think it's wonderful, totally wonderful. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves later, but I do want to introduce and ask him to introduce himself now, our teaching assistant, Elon Goldstein, who is far away from me, about as far as you can get in the other coast of the United States. So I'll let him tell you that. Elon, do you want to say a word or two?
Thanks, Robin. Hi, everyone. Really nice to see everyone. Hi. So my name is Elon. I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts, East Coast. I'm very happy to be assisting Robin, and some of you I know, and most of you I'll get to meet. So I'm looking forward to that. The founder of Dharma College is Tarthang Tulku, or we sometimes call him Rinpoche. And so I've been a student of his teachings through different venues that he's set up for 30 years now, and been involved with Buddhism for a bit longer than that. So that's about it for now.
Ilan, tell them where you're teaching now. Don't be shy.
So I'm a professor of comparative religion and Buddhism, and I teach Buddhism at Harvard.
Wonderful. So please relax in your chair right now. And we're going to look at, I sent you all, or I think most of you, maybe one or two of you, Larry and Gwen, you signed up a little bit late. And I did not get to send you the handouts for the class yet. So don't worry, I will send them to you after class. The rest of you may have received them already. And one of the things we're going to do today is have an introduction to this whole program, which is called Life Reimagined. We're going to look in particular at one of the quotes I put on the handout for today. It's a quote from a book called Gesture of Balance, which was written by Tarthang Tulku in the 70s and is still very, very relevant for us here today. And we're going to do a little bit of experiential practice, and I'm going to talk about why that's important and what that means for our human bodies and minds, and our speech and the way we have to communicate with each other, and mostly the way we communicate with ourselves. So we named this program, which is basically a series of 5 courses that will stretch from now until June, 5 6-week courses, Life Reimagined, because life for most of us now in this very complicated world is not what we imagined. It's not what we imagined it would be. If we're retired, our retirement is not the way we imagined it. If we're still working, probably our working life is not what we imagined. Maybe where we are in the stages of life in terms of relationships or family, that too is perhaps not what we imagined when we were starting out with a lot of inspiration and vigor and energy in our younger days. We may have imagined that we would have accomplished more, or maybe less. Maybe we would have imagined that instead of working so hard, we would have been sailing the seas somewhere or lying on a beach by now. And we can't. It's just financially and otherwise not possible for us. Maybe we imagined ourselves surrounded by lots of friends and children, and that hasn't happened. We didn't have children. We don't have so many friends, or they've passed away now. So it seemed to us at Dharma College, and it seems to me, and it certainly seems to Tarthang Tulku, who's the founder of the school, that this is an urgent moment, a moment when it's time to regather ourselves, to come back to certain core values and inner understanding, and figure out how to reimagine the world, ourselves, our future, whether it's a long one or a short one or whatever, in a way that really corresponds more deeply now to what we know and what we've learned and what we really care about, what's really deeply within our hearts at this moment. Not a moment to give up hope, to lose inspiration, to become depressed by what we're seeing or hearing or feeling around us, but the opposite, to learn how to go deeply within and beyond the surface manifestations of what's going on around us and really make a difference now, really make a difference for the rest of our lives and then the lives of the people we love, the people around us. And who knows how it will ripple out, where our own reimaginings might wind up. We don't know. And that's a good thing because there's lots of opportunity, lots of possibility. So that's how we focus the whole series of courses. They're divided into these 6-week segments. You'll only have to sign up as you've done for one, and then we hope you'll continue to another. We hope there'll also be other people joining us each time. And in each one of these courses, we want to not make it too burdensome. So you will get these handouts with the little quotes, and we'll talk about those, and we'll do practice together. I want to talk about reading and study, or reading and reflection, and what I mean by practice for a moment, just so you have a framework for that if you haven't done this before, or to remind you if you have, but you're maybe fallen away from it a little bit. So we as human beings, we have minds, we have bodies. Later on, we'll discuss the fact that language itself is another factor. Speech and language is another factor in our human manifestation. But for now, let's just say we have minds and we have bodies. And we need to take care of both of those vehicles or elements of being human. We know a lot in the world today about the body, and you probably have devoted a good deal of time thinking about and acting on self-care in terms of the body. Are you sleeping enough? Are you drinking too much or eating too much or eating the wrong kinds of food? Are you getting exercise? This is a big and very valuable thing to be thinking about. Are you getting enough exercise? Are you moving the body? Are you stretching? Maybe you're doing yoga and all these things. We've really come to learn so much more about the body and how to take care of it. I hope you're getting your COVID vaccines, or if not the vaccines, if that doesn't work for you, then are taking care of yourself, masking, et cetera, et cetera. The body is very, very important. But in these teachings that we have inherited, you could say, from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, these teachings that are centuries old, we are reminded that as important, and in some ways more important than caring for the body, is caring for the mind. Caring for the mind. And why do I say that? I say that because unless our minds are fresh and open and positive and at least a little bit joyful, at least a little bit loving and caring, then we don't take care of the body. You see how quickly we go back to old patterns. The mind is the key, the central factor in our experience that takes us in an unhappy direction or a vibrant, caring direction. And so we here at Dharma College are devoted to self-care for the mind. It's as simple as that. Self-care for the mind. Why self-care? You probably think of Buddhism as other care, compassion, taking care of others. Yes, that will come. But unless you deeply care for your own mind in all the ways that we're going to discuss as we go through the 6-week course, you will not find that you have much to offer to others. It's just really that simple, because without an abundance of caring qualities within ourselves, for ourselves, we quickly run out of steam. It's not that we don't try. We want to reach out and be good parents and be good friends and be good citizens and all of those things. But we don't really have the resources. We get frustrated. We get impatient. We lose our inspiration and we get depressed. And that's very common, and it's just human. It's just what happens when the mind isn't well cared for, isn't well tended, when there isn't an abundance of positive qualities within us. We, what are our expressions? We lose it, and we lose it quickly, quicker than we want to. And then our relationships go a little bit sour. Our inspiration isn't there anymore. And we find it even harder to pull ourselves together. It's like we're going on a constant, we're going on a diet and then we're gaining the weight back, and then we're going on another diet and we do that with the mind. We're really trying and we're struggling and then we fall back. And then that becomes even more depressing. Oh, I tried to be good, but then that kind of, meanness came out of my mouth, and now I feel so badly about it. I guess I'm just not a good person. And so we are going to cut through all of that, all of those circular patterns here. And then the marketing people would like me to spell out and promise you things. Okay, they want me to promise you things. They want me to promise you that you're going to, have the following things happen. All your relationships are going to be 100% better. You're never going to be unhappy again. Et cetera, et cetera. I could go on and on. They would love it if I could do that. What are the goals? What are the learning objectives? So I'm just going to say this to you. Wherever you are now, whatever your mind is doing, however it's presenting, whatever it's enacting in its little continuous drama, will be different at the end of these 6 weeks and better. That's all I'm going to say. It will be different and it will be better. And you will feel some relief from that. You will notice it. And if you are like almost everyone else who's gone through these kinds of teachings, the people around you will notice it. They will say to themselves, if not to you, boy, she's nicer. Boy, he seems more calm, less anxious. And that's all I'm going to say, because each one of us presents right now in a different way. Each one of us learns in a different way and manifests in a different time frame our changes, sometimes quickly and sometimes more slowly. But for all of us, there seems to be some transformation that does take place as we begin to think in a new way, and also then experience these practices. And I want to get to that part of it. So we will think in a new way as we talk together, and as we look at these few quotes, and as we begin to see from a slightly different angle, that kind of conceptual knowing and framework we're very familiar with. That's our ordinary way of learning something in the world, in our, a Western way of educating ourselves. You do that through books, or you do that through listening to somebody or talking things out. But there's another way, and that's another thing that these Eastern traditions, such as this one, have introduced that's really, really an effective tool. It's not a substitute for our ordinary kind of learning, but it's definitely an enhancer. It's like taking that extra booster shot of enhancement to make the teachings go a little deeper within our bodies and minds more quickly. And that is a kind of experiential practice with the mind. That is to say, a way of resting and bringing ease and bringing openness directly in without all the words, without the language and the conceptualizing. It may seem like you're doing nothing, but you're doing a lot when you rest the mind. You know, with your body, you overdo something, you hurt somewhere. Right now, I walked the dog yesterday, and he pulled me, and I hurt the back of my shoulder blade on the left side because I was holding him. He was going out too fast, and I tried to yank him back, and my shoulder is hurting. I know that, and I know the cause of it, and I know I have to rest my arm a little bit today. I can't do the same thing. I asked my husband to walk the dog this morning. But do we realize that sometimes we yank the mind? We pull the mind muscle through overwork, through anxiety, through stress, through many of the negative emotions that come up, that pop up in all different kinds of ways at different moments and times. And then the mind needs some rest the next day, but we don't really recognize that. It needs some ease directly, like putting that ice pack on your shoulder, or that heat, or just taking a shower. Yet some of the, the dirt that's accumulated, just let it fall away. So these practices, that's what they do. They're not a big deal, but we're not used to it. And so we'll do some together in class. You'll have it written on your handouts, and then you'll be able to do this yourself at home if you wish to. So the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you this first quote that we'll talk about, and then we'll move into the practice. All right. Then there'll be a little chance to ask questions and hear from you, and then we'll introduce ourselves. And hopefully we'll get all of that done in the next half hour, or just a little bit more than that this first time. All right. So I'm going to try this share screen, and you'll see this quote that we'll be talking about now from Tartang Rinpoche. Okay. I can't turn that off, so it's going to be over very soon. Okay, there it is. All right, do you see it on your screen? Okay. So this is a quote from a book called Gesture of Balance, as I said, and it's on your handout. And he writes, the self-healing process needs a strong foundation built of relaxation, joy, love, and compassion. And those are really the strong, positive emotions we're going to be working with, talking about and hopefully bringing directly into our bodies and our minds during this term. Relaxation, joy, love, and compassion. Why these four? Well, because they're so effective. They're absolutely incredibly effective as providing a cushion for mind and body against all of the other stuff that's falling on us like rocks all the time. Joy, love, and compassion, qualities that don't really get emphasized so much in our ordinary education, happen to have a healing effect on our whole being. I mean, these things are being studied now in medical terms, but just in experiential terms, psychological terms, they are the rock bottom elements that protect us from illness of mind, you could say, from harm. And so being able to touch them and work with them, and even to recognize them when they come up in our experience is what we'll start to do. So how do we do this? He says we need to relax the body, balance the emotions. Notice that's balance. That word is not banish the emotions. We're not here to get rid of anything, but balance the emotions and divert our energy from negative to positive thinking. It's the same energy within us, within the mind, within the body. It's expressing itself in one way, and we can learn how to balance it and express that same inner energy in a more useful way, in a more pleasant way, in a happier way. The whole world needs to feel that, to bring that in. If you think about what joy, love, and compassion are, they're not things that are out there, in your yard, in your backyard, that you can just plant and then you pick a little bit of joy, you pick little bit of love, and you bring it in and you put it on your desk. These are qualities that are within the human manifestation, within the human mind. They have to be developed or planted within us. That's the garden. If we want joy in the world, if we want love in the world, compassion in the world, it has to happen. It has to be developed within the human mind. Now, of course, dogs and animals have joy, they have love, they have compassion and relaxation, but they don't know how to teach us too well or plant it within us as well as we can do ourselves. So we have to bring it in. We have to notice it. We have to develop it. We have to establish the conditions under which relaxation, joy, love, and compassion can flourish. And when we can do that within ourselves, we have to then offer it to others. If we have so much of it, it's like you've just grown an abundance of lettuce, and now you're going to give some of it to your best friends. So we have to grow an abundance of these qualities within us and then share. So then we can begin to loosen our mental and physical constraints, our anxiety, tension, worry, and fear. And I want to point out the order in which this is. It's not, okay, banish your your anxiety and then develop joy. Because that's impossible. We've been trying to do that all our lives. Banish your tension and worry and then develop relaxation. Doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. What do we have to do? Plant some joy. Plant some love and compassion, and then loosen our anxiety, tension, worry, and fear. In fact, then anxiety, tension, worry, and fear will loosen. Why? It's the same energy. It's actually within us, the very same energy. There's no room for anxiety, tension, worry, and fear if our inner being is filled with love, joy, compassion, and relaxation. So it's like, we're a jar. You just start pouring in a little relaxation, joy, love, and compassion. Let the rest of the stuff, it'll go away. We don't have to be perfect before we're perfect. In other words, we don't even have to be particularly great before we're better. We just have to start to add these qualities of mind and body. As we become more open, we experience a sense of liberation, and the energy is free to flow within us. There's a kind of openness that allows the energy to flow more easily, and that adds to the relaxation, adds to the ease, adds to the positive qualities, and then less room for the other stuff. There are more specific methods we can use for healing, such as concentration, mantra, visualization, and various physical and mental exercises. Yes, there are. You can go on to lots of very specific practices to do very specific things. But the basic process is to relax and balance our energy. Right now, we're very imbalanced. It tends to all go toward the anxiety and the depression and the loneliness and the worry. And so we'll be balancing it more. Gesture, balance. Okay, I'm going to end the screen share, stop share, come back together and take you through now a little practice. Okay, and for this, you can be just where you are. You can face the screen, or if you want to turn away from the screen and just listen to my voice, that's fine too. You don't have to read anything. And everything is quite simple. And it starts with coming into a comfortable position wherever you're sitting. And I assume you're all sitting and not standing. So sit somewhere where fully your back can be a little bit straight. You probably are in a chair and that's nice, and you want to lean back, that's fine. But see if you can straighten your back just a little bit without being too rigid. Sometimes they say, imagine having your hair, pulling up just a little bit. And the best would be if your feet can be flat on the ground. Don't cross your legs. Keep your legs uncrossed, and feel your feet on the ground. You get some support both from the chair that way and also from the ground itself. And this is really important. We are supported. We are supported by the earth, by the ground. And we need to feel that. We need to feel the comfort and relaxation that comes from that. So if you bring a little bit of awareness to your backside on that chair and your feet on the ground, you will feel that support. You can rest there just for a moment or two. Usually we don't notice, we don't appreciate that support, but now we can. So let yourself get more and more relaxed in terms of your body. As you sit, you might feel these tension points that suddenly come into your awareness. Your shoulders. As I said, my shoulder right now is bothering me. Maybe your lower spine, maybe your neck, your arms. If you're a little nervous, maybe tension in the belly. So wherever there's tension, could be your face. Breathe into that. Just relax it a little more simply by sitting with it, noticing it, and giving it a little bit of breath. We try so hard sometimes to ignore the places that are tense and bothersome, and this is the opposite kind of practice. We really want to give a little care, a little comfort to the tense places. Start with the body. Relax your hands. Let them sit on your legs a little more loosely. Relax even the top of your scalp. You know where your tension is. Now I'm going to suggest that you open your eyes and let your eyes just be very lightly focused on the ground or the table or whatever's in front of you, not staring at the screen, but also not closed. And the reason for this is, first of all, you carry a lot of tension in the eyes. We all do. So we want to relax the eyes too. But second of all, we don't want to fall asleep. And we also want to learn how to relax when our eyes are open because, well, most of the time during the day, our eyes are open. And so it's important learning. Let your gaze be very soft and not really be looking at anything important, just the ground or the tabletop, whatever's in front of you. You might notice as you sit this way, relaxing the body, that your breath too slows down a little and relaxes. And that's really the next step. Bring a little bit of light awareness to your breath as it comes in and out of your body. And that's all. You're not counting the breath, and it's really not a mindfulness practice. It's a relaxation practice. So just notice lightly breathing in, breathing out. We're breathing all the time. We don't give our breath very much attention. But again, now we're going to care for the breath. It's so amazing, this breath. In and out, always there. Just let it relax and give it some ease. When we get tense, when the body gets tense, the mind gets tense, the breath gets tense. It's harder to breathe. Relax the breath, the eyes, the body. And don't worry about what's going through your mind. You might notice that the thoughts themselves slow down a little bit or become a little bit lighter, but you don't have to pay too much attention to that. It doesn't really matter at this point. Thoughts are just thoughts. They're no big deal. So, body relaxed, breath relaxed. Maybe you notice your heart. Let the heart relax, the whole area around the heart relax. We'll do some practices specifically for that later, but we can begin. And you might notice a little bit of silence. Silence is very healing. And when the chatter resumes in the mind, don't worry about it too much. You don't have to pay any attention to it. It's just another movement of energy. Bring your attention back to the body and any place that's tense, relax. Relax your breath a little more. The mind is going to follow later, but for now, don't pay it too much attention. All right. Whenever you're ready now, you can slowly open your eyes and come back together. Keep connected to whatever healing feeling, whatever softness, ease, sense of relaxation that came in the practice. See if you can hold on very lightly to that as we continue to talk. You know, we really don't live lives in which we can go into caves and disappear for months at a time meditating. We live very active, very engaged lives, even if we're retired in this world. And that's a good thing. That is the way we live here. And we can accomplish a lot that way. So we don't need to feel that we only relax, only develop these qualities of joy and love and compassion and ease in the context of shutting our door or being in a cave. We need that, but we also need to know, how can I relax right in the middle of this busy life that I lead? How can I be a little bit less tense, a little bit less anxious when I'm talking to people and when I'm engaged in activity? So as we continue in the class, just stay with it a little bit. Stay with that relaxation. It's part of what we need as we engage with the world. And it's the heart of balance. And that's what we're talking about, balance here. So anybody have a question or a comment about the practice or the class before we go on to introduce ourselves? All right, well, that's good because you seem a little more relaxed.
Robin, do you want at some point before we end to let people know how they can get in touch if they wish?
Yes, and I do. Thanks, Elon, so much. And I sent a message to you with the handouts yesterday, and it included, and for those of you, as I said, who signed up just this morning, I'll send that out after class today. So first I'll say you will get a link every week from Dharma College before the class starts. And it's actually the same link all the time, but you'll get it in another email to remind you, and you can join that way. You'll get an email from me or possibly from Elon the day before class with that week's handout. You don't have to read it, as you see. I mean, we'll be talking about things, but you've got it in case you want it. If you want to continue the practice we do in class, you'll be able to see the instruction on the handout and remember it that way. You also get a link to a recording of the class so that you can watch it again, or at least watch the part of it that has to do with the practice if you want to, and be guided through by my voice. So you have all of those resources, but also Elon and I are really available to you. And I want you, in that email, you have my email. Use it, ask me questions if you want. I really happy to hear from you and answer everything. Elon, too, tremendous resource, both for whatever we do, the practices, and he's the tech guy here. I'm not techie at all. So if you have questions about Zoom, or there's going to be something called the community portal, you'll get a message from Dharma College that will tell you how to join this community group. So there'll be online chat opportunity, and you can talk to each other that way. Or Elon may be leading by sending out some interesting little message or talk and you want to know how to use it, or you want to just communicate, he's your guy, and his email is in that message that I sent you also. So that's how to reach us, and please take advantage of it. We're here for you, and we want to be available. Thank you. Anything else, Elon? Did I forget anything?
I think you covered it. I'll just add that when we do begin any chat or any discussion threads, as Robin already said about the class as a whole, it's not meant to be a burden. So it's only if people want to engage in some kind of discussion. And if you feel like you don't have the time or don't have the inclination, that's totally fine.
Yeah. So those are ways to keep connected between classes. And then we hope to see you here, of course, for the classes. And then, as I said, if you have to miss, that's not a problem. I always appreciate it if you would, if you have to miss a class because you're going to be away or out of town, if you send me or Elon a note ahead of time, then we're not waiting for you at the beginning. We know you're not coming, so we're not waiting for you to sign in. But of course, things come up and you might just not be able to be here. You will get the opportunity to see the recording and participate that way, and definitely come back. This isn't a class. Don't stay away because you didn't do the homework. Just show up anyway. So I would love to hear from you. And how should we do this? We've got an alphabetical list by last name. And so I'll just go through it. And if you don't want to talk, that's okay. Just say, oh, I pass, it's, or something like that. But otherwise, I'd love to know, we'd all love to know where you are, maybe something about why or how you came to these teachings. And I have a question, if you'd like to answer it, that would be helpful for us, for Elon and for me, and maybe for everybody, which is what prevents you from being joyful? And I'm very happy if you say, I am joyful. That's fine. But if not, what prevents you from being joyful? And just a word or two is good. Again, if anybody absolutely has to leave at 11, please do just sign off, and we'll get to you next time and have you talk. Otherwise, we'll spill over a little bit today. So is Carol Ahern? Carol, do you want to begin? Oh, you have to unmute yourself on here. Let's see if we can. That too is a kind of, you could see that, Pedro, as a kind of abundance of empathy, abundance of feeling other people's pain and concerns right away, total strangers, abundance of feelings. So it's just a beautiful thing to have that empathy, but it's not beautiful to feel it turn into so much tension. So just take a breath. Let's everyone right now relax. Take a breath again. Come back to your seat. The shoulders relax. Face. Eyes. Belly. We'll sit in silence. And all that tension around your heart, especially. Let's give it a little kiss of ease. We are very connected to each other and to everyone around us, beginning with our parents. But then, they say in Buddhism that we've all been each other's parents. So maybe we feel that as well. Let's take the break. I think Pedro is pointing in a very good direction, and I'm going to ask us all then to take the break. And next week we'll come back and we'll introduce the remaining people who weren't able to speak. We didn't have time for this week. And meanwhile, have a very good week as much as possible. Whenever joy does come up, and hopefully it will, even a little bit, a beautiful song or a sky or a kayak trip or whatever, however it pops up in your life, just stay with it just a little bit longer than usual. Really notice it and appreciate it. That's all. Just be there. And then we'll come back next time and we'll introduce the rest of us and move on to next week's topic, and which is the power of ease. And we'll continue with the practice. So you can do it this week as well. All right. I will see you next time. Have a very good week. And thank you all for sharing and for listening to the sharing.